This is Abhijit. You can call me AB. I'm going to be the instructor for this training that we're going to have. And let me quickly share my screen so that I can share some glimpses with you all. I hope you all can see my screen. And the training that we are here for is titled as DEVCOR. And DEVCOR is nothing but CCNP of DevNet. Okay, that's gonna be the title for the training. If you talk about my name again, my name is Abhijit, and I'm gonna be the instructor. Talking about myself, I am the technical leader at the company, PyNet Labs Private Limited, and I belong from a state of Maharashtra in India. Most of you might be familiar because I see there are many people who have joined my previous trainings as well. That's quite good to see all of you over here. And if I talk about my experience, so I've been living in Delhi and I've been delivering corporate trainings since more than 8 years now. My key expertise has been in the domain of routing and switching, some part of security, data center, and service provider. And when Cisco came out with a recent recent line of certification that they've announced, I completely switched my interest, being it into routing and switching domain, into network automation because I had quite a hands-on experience with coding and all in my college days. But yeah, if any one of you is thinking that there is a prerequisite that you should be aware about Python and all to start your journey with network automation, it's not the case. You can completely start your journey as a fresher into Python and so. So there are courses designed by us as well, which is which basically makes you comfortable using Python and all. In terms of network automation. Some of you also might have gone through our previous trainings, and this might be your second training that you're attending with us. So welcome back to all of you as well. Talking about the course, we'll be moving on with the course, the curriculum, and how we are planning to cater this particular training for all of you guys. But as I introduce myself, I request everyone else of you as well to introduce yourself with your name, with your location, wherever you are based out of. You can give us a glimpse about the organization that you're working for, your role in your organization, and your motive to do uh, DevCore training with us. So that will kind of help every one of us to understand you and your motives, so we can fulfill your expectations in a better way possible. So I'll take everyone's name one by one. I'll request every one of you to please provide me some information about yourself. So Balaji, if you can please introduce yourself.
If you enjoyed the content of the video, don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel.
Hi, hello. I'm from Chennai, and I work in a company called Equiniti, where I manage the India operations and the architecture team here. And the primary motive for me is I've been a network engineer for 16 years, doing a certain kind of a role. But then I see that there is, when I joined the DevNet, I see there is another world which I'm probably never exposed to, and it's really an interesting one for me personally. So
I think
like
you
to
were there in
explore
one of
that.
our previous trainings as well, right?
Yeah, that definitely. Yeah.
Cool.
The CCNP one. Yeah, so that's primarily the one, and whatever we can add the learnings that I get from here. I would like to apply. I managed to apply some of them already in our company, so I would like to do that. And thank you for introducing the world.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Balaji. Then we have Dinesh with us. Dinesh, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Myself Dinesh. I'm from Hyderabad. So presently, I'm working for APPiLY Technologies and on Azure Microsoft project. The reason why I choose this course because Microsoft use most of the automation in the work environment. So in order to learn those scripting, I've joined this course.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for introducing. Then we have Karthik with us. Karthik, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi all. Myself Karthik. So I'm basically from Coimbatore. So I'm working with Accenture as a architect, and so my roles and responsibility should be do designing the network and doing a scripting work for all the technologies, switching, routing, and others. So my motive should be, I need to apply the automation skills for my architectural background, and to it will help for the operational works. Actually, yeah, that's all.
Cool, thanks. Then we have Mohammad with us. Mohammad, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Mohammad Ibrahim. I'm from Canada. I work for CNI. I do a lot of traveling. I'm taking this course to help me to find a better job.
Okay, cool. And then we have Rashika with us. Rashika, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Rashika and I'm working currently in KPIG Technologies Limited. I'm working as network and security administrator since last 2 years. So currently my motive is to become the automation engineer. So I have taken DevNet Associate training as well as NOT.
Cool. Then we have Seshu with us. And again, I would say, welcome back, Seshu.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. Please introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
this is my third course with you, sir.
Yeah, I see that.
Hi, guys. Good evening to everyone. And this is Seshu. I'm working in Dubai as a senior IT consultant. And my role of the job is that to design the networks. And most of the time, I used to work for routing, switching, wireless security, and IP telephony. I'm totally new into the automation, so I'm really interested.
Well, you're not new anymore now. I can say that.
Yeah, that's correct, sir. So yeah, that's what I'm very interested in automation, and especially I like the way of teaching of objects. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, yep. Then we have Varun with us. Varun, please introduce yourself. Can you hear me, Varun? You're muted, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear now.
Hi, my name is Varun, and I'm working as a network engineer with Auckland Council back in New Zealand. So I want to move towards the automation, and anyhow, I got stuck in Delhi. So I thought it's better to utilize my time and learn new technology. So I am working with Cisco for the last 10 years now. So I thought it's better to move to automation because that's going to be the future. So here I am, and I am still learning DevNet from your previous classes that's been recorded. So I'm about to complete. I'm on a NETCONF right now. But,
okay. Are you catching up with whatever we discussed?
Oh, yes, and trust me, all your recorded classes are pretty much very much clear. I mean, not even a single time I ever thought of taking any private class from you guys because everything is so clear. Every concept.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're just trying if we can contribute something to people's learnings. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Perfect. All right then. That's quite a great introduction and great people that we have in this particular training. So let's get started. However, the session is not going to be quite long for the introductory one. So I'm just going to give you a glimpse of the content that we have because I have something to take care of. And this is my third training of the day. We were planning to postpone it by another week because I had some like ad hoc requirements that actually asked me to join some other, I would say, meetings and all. But yeah, we're gonna have a small introductory session where we kind of get comfortable with the content that we're gonna do, how we're gonna cater it, and then it'll be good for the day, and then we'll resume it back with the proper session in the coming session. Yeah. So let me give you a glimpse about. Most of you must be familiar now with the, I would say, content of DevNet maybe, or content of new line of certification that Cisco have came up with. But as the thing continues, we see some of the people who are new into our trainings. So let me give you a glimpse about the new line of certification that Cisco has came out with. So generally, you might have this idea that there are certification that goes with the name of CCNA, that goes with the name of CCNP, and that goes with the name of CCI, where CCNA stands for Network Associate, CCNP stands for Network Professionals, and CCI stands for Internet Expert. And all of these certifications do get associated with certain tracks. So if you talk about the tracks, then you have routing and switching, you have security, you have wireless, you have data center, you have service provider, you have collaboration, and various others. Which means that anyone who starts up with the journey, they start with CCNA routing and switching, then they go to CCNP routing and switching, then they go to CCI routing and switching, like that, right? But if you talk about some specializations, then one candidate can complete their specialization in routing and switching by completing all of these modules, and then they can move on towards completing, for example, security, or towards completing, for example, data center, something like that, right? What happened is Cisco kind of changed the way that they were delivering certifications to the industry. What they did was, the number one major change that they did, and most of you might be familiar with that as well, that they completely deassociated the CCNA track, being it from any track over there. So you can say that CCNA now no longer is a part of that. So as I was saying, they have completely deassociated CCNA being attached with any of the track, which means earlier you could do CCNA in routing and switching, you could do CCNA in security, you could do CCNA in wireless, and so on. But there is just a single CCNA now. It is not associated with any of the track that is available. After you complete your CCNA, which is plain CCNA, not associated with any track, you can then move on to select CCNP. And that's where you get to choose your specialization, whether you want to move ahead with routing and switching, whether you want to move ahead with security, or whether you want to move ahead with some other domain there. Okay, but in CCNA, you no longer get that choice. Talking about CCNP, earlier, if you had to complete your CCNP in, let's say, routing and switching domain, then there were almost 3 exams that you had to pass. And one of that was, you can say, route, for example. The other one was switch. And the other one was tissue. Right? And when you pass all of these exams, then and then only you would be called as CCNP routing and switching. Now the game is completely different. If you're gonna pass, number one thing is there is no routing and switching anymore. This routing and switching has been replaced with enterprise. So there is no routing and switching anymore. When you talk about completing CCNP in enterprise, then for every CCNP exam, for every professional exam, the certifications have been divided into 2 sections. One is you would have core exams, and the other one is you're going to have concentrated exams. Okay, so for doing CCNP and enterprise, you would have a core exam of NCore, which is the enterprise core solutions. And then there are many concentrated exams that are available, which can be NRC is one of that, which is advanced routing and services. Then you have SD-WAN, right? Then you have design. Then you have wireless implementation, you have wireless design, and you have an auto, which is automating enterprise solutions. So what you need to do is you need to pass this and any one of this. If you pass NCore and if you pass NRC, having a combo of that, it makes you CCNP enterprise. If you pass NCore and if you pass SD-WAN, the combination of that makes you CCNP enterprise. If you pass NCore and design, that again makes you CCNP enterprise. But if you pass NRC and SD-WAN, that is not going to make you CCNP enterprise. So when you pass individual certifications, Cisco offers you a tag that is called a Cisco Certified Specialist. But you are still far away from becoming a professional. So every time you're going to pass a specific module, like you pass NCore, you're going to be specialist in NCore. You pass NRC, you're going to be specialist in NRC. You want to pass SD-WAN, you're going to be specialist in SD-WAN. That's how we became. But by the moment you pass NCore and any one of the concentration, you would become CCNP in enterprise. That's how the scenario is, and that is there for every domain. So you have NCore for enterprise, you have SecCore for security, you have WR core or WL core for wireless, you have DC core for data center, you have SP core for service provider, you have CL core for collaboration. And then with every track, there are certain specialized or concentrated exams that are available. It's not like these are the only concentrated exams that are available. My voice is breaking? I don't think so. There should be any issue in my voice. Can anyone please acknowledge that?
No issues, Abhijit.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. Seshu, you can try rejoining the session if you want.
Yeah,
So,
okay, sir.
Yep. So if you look at that certifications, Cisco also came up with the new line of certification for DevNet. And inside the DevNet, you only have as of now the DevNet Associate, and you only have DevNet Professional. Come on. There. So you only have DevNet Associate and DevNet Professional. You do not have any DevNet Expert, which means the associate level is equivalent to CCNA and professional level is equivalent to CCNP. There is no CCI that has been launched for DevNet as of now. And when you talk about them, then the DevNet Associate can be cleared with an exam code of 200,901, I think. But if you talk about the DevNet Professional, these DevNet Professional certifications again have been like divided into certain tracks. So you have DevCore, which is a core module that is available just like NCore, that is mandatory to pass. And after that, you have modules like NAuto, which is similar into this. Then you have SP Auto, which is service provider automation. You have DC Auto, which is data center automation. You have CL Auto, which is collaboration automation, which you have then Sec Auto, which is security automation. And these are kind of some of the modules that are available as concentrated exams, which means in order to become DevNet professional, you need to pass DevCore and any one of the concentrated module, be it like DevCore and Auto DevCore and SP Auto DevCore and DC Auto and all. What are these automation modules though? What is the content of this? If you look at NAuto, then in this NAuto, there are multiple enterprise solutions that Cisco sells. If you talk about enterprise solutions, then majorly Cisco sells something called SD-WAN. Sorry about that. Then Cisco also sells something called Meraki, which majorly is a wireless tool, but yeah, it sells under the enterprise only. And then you have, I think, something called DNA, which is nothing but SD access. Cool. So when you look at that particular module, NAuto takes you through a journey about how to automate your SD-WAN, how to automate Meraki, how to automate DNA in a limited way. Not a full-fledged thing about how you can automate them, but in a limited way, I would say. Just a minute, there's someone. Cool. Now, if you look similarly at, you can say SecAuto. Then if you talk about SecAuto, what's the content of SecAuto? Which is security automation. So this basically helps you to automate the security portfolio of Cisco. If you talk about that, then you have ICE, you have FTD, right? You have FMC, you have Umbrella, you have, I would say, Stealth Watch, you have Threat Grid, and various other things. So SecAuto is going to take you through a journey about how to automate the security products of your Cisco security portfolio. And similarly, when you look at DC auto, that's again automating ACI, automating, you can say UCS and various other things. And when you look at CL Auto, it's automating the collaboration portfolio of Cisco, be it WebEx, be it CUCM, be it UCCX, and all these things. That's how they have catered the automation concentrated exams into DevNet. And they are common into every other domain as well, which means if you pass exams like you did your CCNA and you did your CCDA, which is DevNet Associate, after passing this, in the networking domain and in the DevNet domain, let's say you also passed your NCode, and in the DevNet domain, you also passed your DevCore. Now, after passing this, if you pass an auto, which is common for both the streams, then you become CCNP in DevCore as well, in DevNet as well, and CCNP in enterprise as well. Make sense? So that's how this module is, and every other concentrated module is going to be common into respective domains. That's how they have catered that particular thing. And there is no such CCI that has been announced for this particular track. I hope that makes sense to you. Any questions so far? Okay, I think we're good. Now, talking about what are we going to cater into DevCore. So when you look at that, then DevCore is all about taking the journey of DevOps into deeper. Let me open up the curriculum of DevOps, which is DevNet Associate, and then I'll give you a comparison. If you look at the DevNet Associate exam topics, then the sections that are introduced over there, one of which is software development and design, where we talk about what is agile, what is lean, what is XML, what is YAML, what is JSON, right? What is GitHub, and how version control systems works and all. All that particular thing is discussed into software development and design. Then we move on to another section, which is about understanding APIs, right? Where we get to know about what is REST API, how does REST API works as a transport, what are headers and what are content type headers, what is the accept headers, what are payloads, how you can use JSON and XML to create payloads and all. You get to know about all that particular thing. And then we talk about Cisco platforms and deployments, platforms and developments, which is kind of a marketing platform. Cisco have played with brains over there. So Cisco have introduced about what is their portfolios in terms of collaboration, in terms of security, in terms of data centers and all. However, that has nothing to do with the course automation actually. That's just an informatory thing about how they can be used. And then we have another thing that is called as, sorry about that. Yeah, we have another thing called application, I would say deployment and security, where we talk about how bare metal systems can be used, how virtual machines can be used, how containers can be used, and various other things that are available there, which is kind of theoretical topics. And lastly, you have infrastructure automation, where we talk about how NETCONF can be used, how RESTCONF can be used, what are Yang data models, right? How you can use iOS XC automation, iOS XR automation, and various other type of automation that you can implement. And lastly, you have a section called networking fundamentals, because Cisco was expecting that there would be people who will be coming from development background who will not have any idea on how to work with networking devices. So that's why they also included a section that would be networking fundamentals, where they talk about what's IP, what's subnet, what's VLANs, and what's routing protocols and all these things. But majorly, it ended up the other way around. Cisco expected for people to come from development background, but it turned out to be that actually network engineers took the courses of DevNet rather than development people. So if we compare this particular content with the official content of DEVCOR, then we have a section that is similar to, I would say, this one. We also have a section which is understanding APIs, or rather not understanding APIs, but it is actually using APIs in a better way possible. And then you also have a section that is for Cisco platforms. And you also have a section for application deployment and development. And you also have a section for infra automation. But there is no section of network fundamental over there. So if you look at that, then what's different? Because all the sections are quite similar from DevNet Associate to DevNet Professional. Now, if you look at that, there are in-depth knowledge about whatever you have learned into your DevNet Associate. You are going to dig deeper into getting to know about how internally things work. For example, if you know about the difference between when you do CCNA, routing and switching, and when you do CCNP in routing and switching, then over here, if you study OSPF in maybe 2 hours, okay, or maybe 4 hours, then over here for OSPF, you probably can dedicate complete 4 days, or that can even be less. So that's kind of an in-depth knowledge about OSPF that you get into your network professional. Just like that, the DevCore does not focuses that much on labs. Okay, there are very few labs that needs to be done into you can say DevCore as compared to the labs that are there into DevNet Associate. But DevCore talks about a lot of theory in terms of understanding how internally things actually works. Okay, so we're gonna talk about designing the software by considering maintenance and by considering serviceability over there. We're gonna talk about how ChatOps application, how chatbots can be integrated into your collaboration platform, or how REST API works in an advanced way. Maybe by considering pagination, by considering integration, by considering how you can modify the headers when the information is actually being sent, by even considering security, because in DevNet Associate, we only look at how communication can be done by using basic authentication. Over here, we'll be looking at how you can use third-party authentication chains, maybe OAuth, maybe a bearer token authentication, and so we will be looking at how you can secure the communication when that is done with the help of REST API. Right? We will also look at how security application data can be considered, how securing web and mobile application can be considered, how you can automate the application release by considering CI/CD pipeline, right? Or by using the support of DevOps tools. Okay, we'll be talking about how deploying applications can be made easier. We're also going to understand the distributed systems there when we get to know about application deployment and application development. Right? We will also see how data modeling with Yang can be made easier with the help of Ansible, with the help of Chef, and with the help of Puppet and all. This is the first time there where you're gonna get to know about Ansible, right? Because I rarely talk about Ansible in my DevNet Associate course, because I believe that you need to have a prerequisite knowledge before you directly jump onto Ansible. So if we talk about the lab sessions that we're gonna have, then we are going to basically do the labs by considering the physical labs as well, which we're going to do locally on your machine. And we will also be taking help from the sandbox machines that Cisco have developed for you, because you cannot really integrate, or you cannot really use everything, or you cannot really set up everything on your local machine. Right? So for applications such as WebEx, for applications such as I would say Meraki and various other things, we're going to take help of sandboxes where we will be deploying that particular labs over there. So that's how a brief introduction of the content I would say that we're gonna cover. So slowly we're gonna start with software development and design in our coming sections and all, and then we're gonna take it further towards the thing. Is there anyone, like, there is just something that I would like to ask to you guys, that is there anyone who would like or who do not have any experience with Python, or who do not have any experience with the content that they have gone through the DevNet Associate, or everyone's familiar with that? I think if I see the list of people that are available there, if I confirm that by myself, because most of you guys have attended my sessions. So I see Balaji, you have attended my session. I don't think Dinesh have attended my session. Mahesh has done my session. Karthik has done my session. Rashika is new there. Mohammad, I'm not sure about you guys. And Seshu has done my session. Varun has done my session. So Mahesh, sorry, not Mahesh, Dinesh, have you been working with DevNet Associate or doing the labs of that by yourself, or how have you been preparing for that?
Actually, I've enrolled for associate, but I've only finished 4 sessions so far. Like I've
Okay. You
installed the lab
enrolled for
setup.
recorded thing?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I've not yet completed that. So maybe this week, by next week, I may complete all the classes.
All right. That's one more benefit that we have planned this session to be weekends only, so that you guys can take some time to digest the prerequisites if you're missing something out.
Okay.
All right. And what about you, Mohammed?
I'm self-study for Python, but not for DevNet or anything.
Okay. And you're not familiar with like how you can automate network devices so far?
Just for Python, nothing else.
Just for Python.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Rashika?
I have completed my DevNet Associate training and I am quite familiar with the Python labs.
Perfect. That's great then. Cool. So I think it's just Mohammed that you need to catch up with the prerequisite knowledge of using network automation. All right. I'll also be taking care of like making you familiar with whatever prerequisite knowledge that you might be missing. So just go through it or give a glimpse of that as a prerequisite there, and then move on with the concept that you're going to cover. Makes sense. Now, if I look at the very first topic on the lab sessions. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is as there is a lot of automation that's going to be there in terms of lab as well. What I'll require from you guys is you guys needs to be having 16 a computer with at least 16 GB of RAM. Okay, and in that 16 GB of RAM, we are going to install something called EVNG. Most of you must be having it if you guys are attending my sessions. And in this EVNG, we'll be kind of having some networking devices. So you can have normal routers, iOS routers. You can also have some ASA firewalls. You might also have some CSR series router, which is iOS XE. Okay, we might also need to have some NXOS, Nexus switches, and we might also need to have some iOS XR series devices. These are different platforms that we're going to work with. And if we would be required to work with some other platforms, maybe WebEx, okay, or maybe Meraki or things like that, then we are going to refer to sandboxes that are available by Cisco on a public demand. Cool. But whenever we're going to use these particular devices, then we will be having that EVNG set up in your management PC. And we will also be working with a software called VS Code along with Python. So we will be writing down our Python scripts by using VS Code as an application. We will be deploying those scripts onto the devices that are available into the simulation, which is called as EVNG. That's how it is going to be taken care of. And rest, I think we are pretty good. So similarly, the content, the official book, and everything will be shared with you pretty soon. And then we'll see how that particular session goes on. All right, then we're pretty good with the introduction that we had to have. I'll just keep this particular day small and not rush up too fast to go into the details and all. I think we're gonna have quite a long session since it's a weekends only class. So we'll be meeting up every day, every weekend on 5 o'clock only, and then we'll be seeing how maybe sometimes the session might end up in 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, depending on the time that we're going to consider that, or depending on the topic that we're going to cover. But mostly I get done with 2.5 or 3 hours. So you guys are also going to do a lot of labs as well by yourself. The way that we move ahead with is I explain the lab and I try to do that. And then I ask you guys to do it in the session only. So if you face any difficulty, I can be there to assist you where you're facing any difficulty also. Generally, the thing that we're going to get started with is about digging deeper into understanding how REST API actually works. And then we will also see how data modeling and all actually can be used in order to fetch out or deploy configurations. So what we're going to talk about in today's class is how we can dig deeper into REST API, rather RESTCONF, and how we can optimize the scripts that you might see as an introductory thing into Python. So if I give you a glimpse about how RESTCONF actually works, or how REST API works, or even how NETCONF works, and how I would say how NETCONF works, and how we can use NETCONF in order to deploy configurations or even fetch out configurations from the device. Then, in that particular scenario, you might have heard something called model-driven programmability, right? And in model-driven programmability, we have seen that there are two major protocols that we work up with. One is called as RESTCONF, and the other one is called as NETCONF. When you talk about RESTCONF and when you talk about NETCONF, both of these particular protocols are used to automate infrastructure. When you look at them as any of the infrastructure from iOS XE point of view, iOS XR, or NXOS. Whenever your endpoints, whenever the configuration that you're going to do maybe on this particular device and sending configuration from your management PC, if this device, the destination device, is any one of this, there are possibility that the configurations can be done by using NETCONF or by using RESTCONF. Now, what we are trying to do, mostly in your DevNet Associate course, you might have seen that how to deploy configuration or how to even fetch out configuration from the device by using, I would say, RESTCONF or by using NETCONF. What we're gonna dig over here, or what we're gonna do over here, is how to optimize that operations. Maybe you create a script there by using R1, let's say .py, and in that particular script, you are sending out the details, or you are using that particular details inside your XML payload. So if you look at the device, then when we talk about NETCONF, as we're gonna do the lab for NETCONF today. So when we talk about NETCONF, then we use SSH as our transport. We use XML as our data structuring language, and we use Yang as a reference point for data modeling language. And the data model that we have been using so far in the DevNet Associate course has been IETF interfaces as one of the data model there. Sorry, not .py, but IETF interfaces.yang. This was a standard data model that we were referring, or mostly we referred whenever we play around with, I would say, interfaces and all. And by using this data model, you can fetch out the configuration, you can deploy the configuration. Where in the script, what you do is you kind of create an XML payload. And if you want to deploy the configuration on the device, then you create that XML payload as a string there, and you specify all your XML data that starts over here and that maybe closes down over here. And then you specify the name of the interface, you specify the IP address of the interface, you specify the subnet mask of the interface, you specify the description of the interface. And then this XML payload can actually be sent out onto the device. Device verifies it, whether the configuration is correct or not. And according to that, the configuration gets deployed on the device. That's generally how we do. But and even to fetch out the data as well. What we're gonna try out is we're gonna see if we can take out the information in a dynamic way possible, even for a loopback interface and for a physical interface, and we will see how we can configure that particular details onto the device also. So let's try it up and see that, and then I will help you to set up your local lab, whoever are going to use local labs. So I'll be putting up the links that we're gonna use there, and we will see how that works out to be. So let me quickly share my other screen, and we will get started with that. The router for today's activity that we're going to use is simply going to be CSR 1000V. So that's my screen there. I will just open up my EVNG lab. So we're gonna use an EVNG setup. We don't need these routers here. I'll just get rid of them. Stop it. And I will delete it. Once I delete it, so I already have a CSR 1000V, which is loaded in my machine. So I'm just gonna put up a node there. That's gonna be CSR 1000V. I'll change the settings and increase the resources of that to 4096 as a RAM and 2 CPU. And the chemotype to what IO. That's my router there. And I will simply connect my router to the cloud interface so that I can communicate with the router via my local machine. So what's the purpose of us connecting this particular cloud interface with that particular router? So that the IDE that we're going to use, integrated development environment that we're going to use here, is basically installed on my local machine. And I'm going to write my script directly inside my local machine, and then I'm going to run this script against the device that we have inside EVNG, which is a virtual environment. So when I would say, run this particular, you can say, script against that particular device, then we should be able to communicate with the device. That's why we need this cloud appliance. Most of you might be familiar as well, those from my previous classes. And now if I start up my router, I'll just take the console of that by clicking on this router. And those who do not have EVNG installed on the local machine and the CSR available on the local machine, please let me know so that I can share the links for downloading the files that you're going to require. I think Mahesh, you must be having it installed, right? Mahesh, Balaji, and maybe Seshu.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's there with the name of Sales D? I see someone in the meeting with the name of Sales D. Are you there? While the device boots up, let me verify. Let the device boot up, and then we will kind of configure it with the minimum configuration that we need to do for NETCONF, and we'll see how we can interact with the device. The config is up. So I'll just go to enable and config theme. Then interface GI1. I'm just gonna have an IP address configured on the device as 10.255 or 1.121 because that's my local LAN. That's how I can synchronize with it. So I say IP address 10.255 1.121 255.255.255.0. So no shutdown. Take an exit. After I configure my interface, I can just open up my command prompt and I can verify if I can ping to that device. And I think you're getting request timeouts. Review plan, no shutdown. Now the interface is up, and there you go. You have the reachability now from the device, which means from local machine, from local command prompt, we can actually reach out onto the device by using this net, which is a cloud interface. So we kind of are going to enable NetConf onto our device, and we will see how we can work with that. So if I tell you how to enable NetConf, the very first thing is you need to configure SSH on the device, because NetConf uses SSH as its transfer protocol, right? So I'm gonna say username, admin privilege 15, password Cisco. Then I can say host name on the router can be PyNet underscore R1, and then IP domain hypername can be abc.com. And after that, I can say crypto key generate RSA more 1024 and IPSSH version 2 line VTY 0 space 4 login local transport input on. Once your SSH onto the device is configured, then you just need to enable netconf onto the device by saying netconf space SSH and netconf -yan. These two commands enables SSH onto the device on a default port number of 830, and that completes our minimum configuration that needs to be there onto the device. Okay, so if I list there that what do you need to use as part of your basic configuration, you would find enable config t. You guys in your event G needs to configure IP address as DHCP. Okay, you don't need to configure a local IP address manually there, so you use IP address DHCP. After that, what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna say host name can be R1, IP domain hypername abc.com, the username admin, privilege 15, password Cisco, and then crypto key generate RSA modulus 1024 and IPSSH version 2 and line VTY 0 space 4 login local transport input on. And to enable netconf, we use netconf space SSH and netconf -yan. Once I use these commands, then our configuration, our netconf onto the device will be enabled. Now, the very number one thing that we check out is whether netconf service has been enabled on the device. And how do you check that out? You can specifically check that out by creating a new putty session, okay, onto the device, which is basically using 10.255.1.121 on my machine, and I can ping or I can create an SSH session on the default netconf port, which is 830. So when I create a connection there, accept it, and it asks me for the username. The username definitely is admin and the password is Cisco. And if the reply of that particular request is this weird text, which is nothing but I would say the list of data models that are supported onto the device, it means that netconf service has been enabled. If you look at that closely, every particular line basically gives you the information about a specific data model, like over here. This particular thing is it's kind of a data model about RFC 1315. If I even scroll up and if I use, for example, something that might be at the top there, this is kind of a module that is there for open config ACL deviation or IETF routing deviation or OSPF deviation or something like that. So you can see that there is a data model for almost every type of configuration that is available. Okay, for every type of configuration, there would definitely be a data model that might be uploaded on the device. Whenever your device is actually sending you all this list of things that are there. Yep. So as we were saying that whenever the device actually replies you back with the list of Yang data models, it means the device is configured with all that netconf thing. The number one thing that we're going to try on our Python is how we can fetch out the details, how we can fetch out the running configuration from the device, which we also have seen into, I would say, DevNet Associate, but as a prerequisite and to make sure that everyone's on the same page, we'll just go through that as well. So what I'm going to do, I am basically going to open up my VS Code, which is the IDE that I use. And in this particular IDE, I will basically be creating a new script. And once I create that particular script, I am going to save this script as maybe test.py, the very first script, as a .py extension. After I save it, the file recently, or the file right away, gets detected as a Python file. You can also see that over here. And there is a Python interpreter that we are using over here, which is Python 3.9, in order to execute all of our script. So once we have that, then we can simply import a module that we use, or we can simply import a library that we use for executing all our NETCONF operation in Python, which is called as NC client. So I say from NC client import manager. Okay, we can also import the entire NC client thing or NC client library, but since we are very specific with our use case, that's why I'm not importing the entire library. I'm just importing a part of that particular. Once I import that, then I can also import XML. So I can say from xml.dom.mini.dom import parse string. That's another feature that we're going to use in order to convert XML raw data into pretty XML. And after I have it, generally what we use is we can simply create our device information in a dictionary where we can specify that by using a keyword or by using a variable called xe, inside of which we're going to have a dictionary and we're going to pass some of the information right there. So I'm gonna give the IP address of the device, which is going to be 10.255.1.121. Then I'm also going to specify the NETCONF port is going to be 830. The username is going to be admin, and the password is going to be Cisco. That's kind of the device details that we have. And once you have that detail, what you generally do is you can simply create a connection by saying netconf, or you can say xe_netconf is equal to, I would say, manager.connect. And in brackets, we're going to pass some elements there. So I'm going to say host is equal to xe of IP. Then after that, I'm going to say port is equal to xe of netconf_port. Then username is equal to xe of username. And then password is equal to xe of password. And we also do not want the host key verification to be done. So that's why we say host key underscore verify is equal to false. Okay. So this particular thing, whatever we have till line number 17, kind of creates a netconf session onto the device, and it kind of confirms that the device session has been created. After we are good with that particular session, what we will do is we will simply try to fetch out the running configuration that is available onto the device. And how do we do that? We simply create a query, maybe netconf_operation is equal to, and I say xe_netconf dot get_config. And in bracket, we specify that we want to fetch out the configuration from a running data store. because we have all our configuration stored in running config, right? And then we can simply print that out in a pretty XML fashion by saying print netconf underscore, sorry, print, I'm gonna say parse string of netconf underscore operation dot XML and to pretty XML. There. That's how the output is going to be. Once we have this, I can simply run this particular Python script and see how the output becomes. Oh, sorry. I'm right clicking on that and I'm saying run Python file in terminal. Once I do this, the output should be the entire running configuration that is available on the device. There you go. You see that? So you get the entire running configuration from the device. For example, you get to know about the version information, then the service timestamps. Then you would also get to know about the username that is there. Username admin privilege 15, password is Cisco, right? The IP domain name, which is abc.com, and lots of other information as well. And also have some interface configuration details and whatsoever. So this is all the data that has been returned to you in XML, but according to the Yang data model structure, right? The structure is actually being used in order to figure out that in what format would you like to have that particular output. Otherwise, the raw input or the raw, I would say, XML output is not going to help you understand any data. But by looking at the structured XML data, you can actually make sense of what data are you looking at. And our Python completely understands whatever data that you see on this particular screen. Okay. Now, when you look at that, we've discussed use cases where a user might not require the entire running configuration to fetch out, but a user might require that some bits and bytes of the configuration actually needs to be fetched out. For example, the routing config or interface config also, for which you can use filters in our XML or filters in our Python script. So how we can use that filter? You actually need to know about what data type or what data model do you want to fetch out the configuration of. For example, all the interface related configuration, we use something called IETF-interfaces. For all the routing related configs, we use routing as our Yang data model. Like over here. Over here is using OC port types static, which is basically letting you fetch out the details about whatever configuration is there for the protocols. And if I scroll up, you will get to know about the some other type of configuration, but you also should have an interface config there. See that interface here written in 4. Then you have the name of that particular interface, you have the type of that interface, you have the enable state of the interface, and every other thing. So you can fetch out the details of your interface config and all according to this as well. Make sense? So what we are actually doing is, when you look at that topology, we are creating a Python script and we are fetching out the configuration by reaching out to NETCONF service. And NETCONF is crafting the configuration in XML according to the Yang data model that it's referring to, and then doing giving the configuration to you out. Any questions still here? The guys who have not been in my previous trainings, are you very comfortable with such kind of thing? If you do not understand anything about it that we have did, you can please ask me your questions. Okay, I think we're good. Now, what we would be trying to do is, we are just going to create an XML filter, and that particular XML filter is allowing you, or is going to allow you to fetch out the configuration, but that will be a limited configuration so far. So I am just going to write down an XML filter right there. I can say my netconf underscore filter is equal to, that's going to be a string there. Okay, multi-liner string. let's just get rid of this data there. And we write down our filters like this, filter and filter. That's going to be fixed tag, and everything is going to be inside of this. So we use interfaces, and then we specify XML namespace is equal to, and I'm going to refer to NETCONF central library, where we can fetch out the data model that we're looking forward to. So I can go to NETCONF central, search for the data model that is supported with the name of ITF hyphen interfaces, find module, and the latest one about that. So if you look at this data model, this is basically a data model that is uploaded onto our CSR 1000V and allows you to play out with all the interface configurations that you can do. In order to filter your configuration only according to the interface, you need to call this data model inside your Python script. And you can refer to this data model by using the namespace. So I'm simply going to copy this namespace, and I'm going to specify it in my script that I am using this namespace and the container with the name of interfaces, where the list inside of that particular interface is going to be interface. There. That's going to be your filter, and if I use that in the query when we are going to execute our query, then simply say filter is equal to netconf underscore filter, comma, and I can save that particular config. Once I run this, then the output should not be the entire any config now. Okay, there is an error on line number 4, unescaped, there's then sign. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. What are we missing? Okay, we're missing a closing double tag. There. When I run the script, again I have expected closing sign on line number 8. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There. Run Python file in terminal. Again, it says opening and ending with tag mismatch. So
The interface is XML.
again, it says opening and ending. Enter and there. So if you look at the output now, the output is nothing but the collection of IP configuration or interfaces that are available here, which is basically Gigabit Ethernet 1, then you have Gigabit Ethernet 2, then you have Gigabit Ethernet 3, and you have Gigabit Ethernet 4. There is no such information configured on Gigabit Ethernet 3 or Gigabit Ethernet 4 or Gigabit Ethernet 2. So what we will be doing is we will just be fetching out a configuration, or we will just be going onto the device and configuring gig 3. I'm going to go on enable config 3 interface gi3 IP address 192.168.10.1 255.255.255.0. Description configured by AV using NETCONF. So no shutdown. Take an exit. Once we do the exit, our interface is configured, right? And if I go onto the script and rerun the script, this time I should see some data that is inside Gigabit Ethernet 3. So I executed the script, and the output you can see on your screen. Scroll up there. You can see that your interface is now configured with all the parameters. You have description configured there. You have You can say IP address and subnet mask configure here. Everything is configured. Now, how to even go deeper and fetch out a single interface detail? For example, if you want the details of only the Gigabit Ethernet 3, what would you do? You can go into your filter and you can go specific about you can go specific in your interface filter. You can specify that the name of the interface that you want to fetch out is Gigabit Ethernet 3, and then you can close the interface. Make sense? That's something that you can do, and whenever you're trying to fetch out the config, it is only going to there. You can see that it is only going to give you the details of Gigabit Ethernet 3, nothing apart from that. Make sense? Now, what you can do is you can use such kind of scripts as information fetching scripts. You can always link them up with some kind of dashboard, link them up with some kind of workflow or so. And such scripts can let you always fetch out interface details, always fetch out device details, and all, whatever device detail that the user wants. Okay. So, for example, if the user wants to know the IP address of that particular device, or if the user wants to know the entire state of that from that particular device, what would user do? And there can be any interface that is available, right? So what I'm going to do now here is I am going to go and accept the value of the name of the interface from the user only, and then I'm going to print out the output of the interface details. So if I replace this particular thing with a double quote, and then inside of that I'm going to say interface number. Okay, this is kind of something that the user needs to enter. So what we do is we basically accept some detail from the user, and then we're going to specify user underscore choice is equal to input in bracket. I'm going to say enter the interface number that you want to fetch out the details of. Okay, and we're going to store that in kind of a dictionary. So we say interface details is equal to, I'm going to create a dictionary, and I'm going to say name of that particular dictionary is going to be the key, right? So int name is going to be there. I'm going to keep Gigabit Ethernet as standard, okay, or as static data. Then I'm going to concatenate it with input of, I'm going to concatenate it with user underscore choice there. So that this value that is available inside of this is going to be Gigabit Ethernet, either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Okay. So when I say that, then I can just say netconf underscore data is equal to netconf underscore filter dot format. We're going to use a format function like we have been using earlier as well. Dot format, and then I'm going to pass the detail as interface underscore number is equal to interface detail of int name there. That is something that I'm going to pass. And once I pass that, then I can call this particular thing inside the filter. But I'm going to replace that filter with the name of netconf underscore data. When I do that, let's see how that works out to be. So if I run this particular script, what does this do? This actually asks you enter the interface number that you want to fetch the details of. Let's say I enter 1. and I say enter. There you go. It basically gives you the details of only Gigabit Ethernet 1. You can see that the name of the interface is Gigabit Ethernet 1, and then the enable state is true, the IP address of that, and everything. If I run that particular script again, and let's say I say 2, oops, there I say 2, hit enter. There you go. It gives you the details of 2. Now there are lots of error handling that you can do, that because there are limited interfaces that are present on the device, and then you can only fetch out the configuration from the device if the interface is present there, right? So you need to take care of a lot of ifs and buts that you need to solve in order to understand that what mistakes can user do and how the script is going to deal with that, because the user can always enter interface number 100. So what if the user enters 100? You need to take care of that as well. We're coming to the discussion on that. But this is kind of a first phase of how the script can actually be used in order to filter out or in order to fetch out the details. Now we are also going to use some of the logic that we have used into associate course and only be able to fetch out the configuration that the user demands. Okay. So if I kind of save this particular config, and yep, any questions over here? I hope the script is pretty much understandable by every one of you. If you have any question, you can please go ahead and ask. All right. So to be able to do all such kind of labs, how many of you have set up your local EVNGs there? Can you please put your answers into chat that if you have your EVNG ready and you are able to do this particular lab locally, you can please let me know in the chat section so that I can take care of others as well. And if you also have rented the lab from PyNet Labs, you can also please let me know about that in the chat. Varun, I think you must be using a local lab or you have rented a lab.
No, I'm just following your. Hello, you can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. No, I'm just following all your classes. So I have been downloading everything from what you are putting on Telegram.
Okay.
So I got my EVNG ready and everything.
All right. And do you have the image of CSR 1000 with you?
Yes.
All right.
I do.
And you also have installed it in your E?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you can do this lab, right?
Yes,
okay.
I can.
Now talking about Mohammad.
Yeah, I don't have the sorry, I don't have the image.
Okay, you don't have the event, or you don't have the CSR 1000 image.
Yeah, I don't have the image, and nobody added me to the Telegram.
No, he's talking about the old class that he attended, not about the new.
No, I didn't attend all the classes. All I need just the
He's
image.
talking about the previous training that he went through, not this training.
Oh, sorry for that. And one more thing. The Visual Studio, is that something I have to pay for it to get it, or there is a free version, something?
The videos?
It's Visual Studio.
No, that's a free version. You can just go on Google and download Visual Studio Code.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do, you don't have EVNG set up on your machine, do you?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, you have it. And do you have that CSR 1000 without that I'm using?
No, that's I don't have it.
So I'm just putting a link to that into our chat section. Okay.
Okay.
You can please download that particular thing, and I'll help you install that on your machine, because most of our labs are going to be done on those particular devices. So we need to have everyone synced up where they have the images installed on. So just putting up the CSR 1000 image in the chat, you can download that right now.
Okay.
Image there in the chat. You can please check our chat and you would find a link there. You can just download that image. Talking about Balaji must be having it. Rashika, how are you doing the labs? Have you installed your EVNG?
No, I do not have the setup.
You don't know how to set it? Okay. So the first thing is you download the image that I have pasted there, which is CSR 1000. What laptop are you using? Are you using Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Okay. So I'm putting a couple of links there. Do you have VMware Workstation installed in your machine?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm giving a link to that as well.
Okay.
Just a minute. There. There is one file that I have put out, which I'll just show that to you over here if you can check. So this is an, I would say, image that I have pasted for the router that we're gonna use, and then you have VMware Workstation 16. You can download that. You also need to download EVNG VM, which is the virtual machine that we're gonna import into the VMware Workstation, and then everything will be set up. So try to download these files as soon as possible, and then I'll help you with the installation. And apart from that, we have Mahesh with us, who also must be having the things installed. All right, so those who have particular things installed, please try this particular script up and see if that works up, and just refresh your skills, and then we shall take it further.
Abhijit?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is done. One thing I observed here is the interface name. What we are giving is Gigabit Ethernet. So we will not be able to supply GA, or if I make it Gigabit small e and I'm not able to successfully do it.
That's case sensitive.
Okay, that's the case. It should exactly match what is there, right?
That's why we are not depending on the user to supply that, right? Because user might enter GI something also.
Okay.
That's why we are statically specifying Gigabit Ethernet over here, and then we're only accepting the value of the interface, either one or two or three.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can even create a Python script. I know that's going to be a complex operation, but you can create something that even if user types anything, or you can present a list of interface to the user, and then ask the user that what interface do you want to configure. So you can give an option of 1 for GI0/0, 2 for GI0/1, or 3 for GI Gigabit Ethernet 3 or so. And according to that, whatever choice user enters, then you can have a Python script that actually takes that further for the specified interface. There are many use cases that can be created here.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
How about others? Have anyone been able to deploy that? Those who have their EVNG set up, and also please let me know the status of them who are downloading the files that I've shared. Mohammad, were you able to download the image?
I already downloaded, but I'm having problem with the starting the CSR installation.
Can you please share your screen so that I can help you to install that CSR?
Okay, how you want to reach out my machine? It just tells me. 1 second.
You have downloaded the image, right?
Yeah, already downloaded.
Okay, can you share your screen so that I can help you set that CSR up?
Okay, how I'm going to share the screen?
Do you see the hang up button in the Teams, so you can hang the call? The red button.
The red button? Yeah.
Yep. So
next to it.
That's basically to hang up the call, right?
Yeah.
On the left side of that red button, do you see any option that says open search, open share tray?
It's show participants.
No.
The other one, hide, and then raise hand.
No.
Let's go more option. Show device setting, interface screen color, keyboard.
You should have an option that says share open share tray. That will be with an upper navigation arrow. With up arrow as an icon there.
Yeah, open share tray.
Yep, click on that. And then there should be an option to share your desktop.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah, it's coming up. Yes, I can see it now. All
okay.
Right. So what's the image that you downloaded? Can you show that to me?
Yeah, the image is here. Where is it?
Okay. So you downloaded the image and you did that. All right. What we need to do now is we need to change the name of the folder. You cannot really keep that folder name as CSR1000. We can just have it. Do you see the link that I've shared with you?
What name you want it?
The link that I shared with you. Can you open that link again? The name of the folder is right there in the link. If you can
this
click
one?
on, yeah, can you click on that? Perfect. Now Do you see that the I would say directory information, software, GNS3, GNS3 images, router images, and then after that, CSR 1000V hyphen universal K9, right? That CSR 1000V hyphen universal K9, that should be the name of the folder.
That's the name of the folder?
Yep, yep.
That's okay, no problem.
You cannot really copy, I think. So you can open up a small file explorer window and type it or rename your folder. Or you can directly go to WinSCP, yeah, and go to parent and rename this folder. Yep. I'll tell that to you. Okay, perfect. Just type the thing there.
CSR 1000
V hyphen universal
1000V K9
16.0.9
05
hyphen serial.
Serial. That's
Perfect.
correct?
Yep, that's correct. Wait a minute. After CSR 1000V, you're using underscore. That should be hyphen. After CSR 1000V, you're using underscore. That should be hyphen.
Okay.
Enter. All good. Close this WinSCP. After, go to the CLI of EVNG and use that fix permissions command again if you have used that. /opt/unit labs. No, not this. You don't need to use this.
So where do you want to go?
Just go back. Go on the default directory. No. Just stay there in the CLI. Hit the lower navigation key. We want to type a command there in the CLI. Not this, not the one that you have typed.
Change it?
I don't want you to use this command, whatever you have typed it in the CLI.
Okay.
Just use backspace to clear that. Yeah.
It's okay. Let's give me error.
That's fine.
Okay.
Type something now. /opt/unit lab. You can use tabs. Type U and.
What's the name?
No. Unit lab. U and.
No, unit lab. Okay.
Then wrappers, WR and tab.
WR.
And UNL underscore wrapper. UN and tab.
Wrapper.
Perfect. -A. Fix permissions. Fix permissions.
FIX. Permissions.
Perfect. Hit enter.
Okay.
And you're done. It's installed. Now you can go to the G1 of your Eve.
Sorry?
The GUI of Eve. EVNG's GUI.
Oh, use the GUI.
Yep.
Okay.
Where you can see that. Perfect. Open that lab up. Any lab. And create a new lab if you want.
ABC.
Right click and say node. Over there, you should see a CSR. There you go. The first one, 3.x. Yep.
Okay.
And then change the RAM size to 4096. CPU to 2.
Which one?
Change the CPU to 2. The CPU, just left side to the RAM.
CPU. Okay. CPU.
You need to increase it by 1. Yeah. Perfect. And change the QEMU NIC to the first option. The option that is beneath the Ethernets. QEMU NIC, QEMU NIC.
It's just your voice is cutting.
I'm saying, do you see RAM option there? RAM?
Yeah.
On the right side of RAM, you have Ethernets.
Yeah.
Beneath that, you have QEMU NIC. QEMU NIC.
QEMU?
QEMU. QEMU NIC. The option that is beneath it. No, you don't need to change any value over there. Keep that as 4. The option that is below it, yeah, perfect. Click on that drop down menu, select the first option, word.io.net.
Oh, feature.
Yeah, and save it. These are the settings that you always need to take care of whenever you use a CSR.
Okay.
Now right click again and put a network there. Yep, that should be cloud 1.
You want a cloud one?
Yep. And say save. And now connect your CSR with that cloud and turn on your CSR and it should be up. Very good. Cool. Yeah, you can open that up right there. It should be booted up within a couple of minutes, okay?
Okay.
You can stop sharing your screen now. You can just click on stop sharing. I'll see if someone else needs it.
Okay.
Rashika, were you able to download that?
Yeah, the Eve is getting imported in VMware. So it's
Okay, the Eve is getting imported. Cool. All right. Let me know when it's done, okay?
Yes.
So what we can do, I'll just share my screen again. Mohammad, you want to say something? You have raised your hand.
Oh, sorry, I have to turn off the microphone.
Okay. Now, if I share my screen, then you can see that what we can do over here is we try the script in our associate course that how you can only fetch out certain details of an interface where we can basically span through the list of interfaces that are available. So for which I am going to remove this thing, which basically then lets us I would say, fetch out the entire list of interfaces that we have. When I run this script, it doesn't limit us from fetching out only single interface detail, right? Or it says netconf data is not defined, so I need to say netconf underscore filter. And when I do that, if I run this script, I can see I can fetch out the entire details from the device. Now what we want to do is we want to have an output that actually gives us very clear idea about what's the name of the interface and what's the description of the interface and what's the enabled state of the interface and all, right? So what do we want here is we want something, an output that is not in XML, but it is in English language. So in order to span through that, we are basically going to convert the XML output into JSON, for which we don't need this particular thing here, but we need a third-party library. And that third-party library is going to be downloaded from your terminal. So you can just go on your terminal, your PowerShell or whatever you have. You can type Python space -m pip install XML to dict, which is a third-party library. This particular library allows you to convert your XML data into dictionary. And when I tried to install it, it actually gave me an error or a warning that says requirement already satisfied, which means I already have this third-party library installed, and most of you might be having it as well because you guys have tried it. So we're going to use this library similar to what we used earlier in our associate course, and we're going to say from XML to dict import parse. That's all. When I do import that, what I'm going to do is instead of converting it into pretty XML, I'm going to specify that netconf underscore you can say netconf underscore data is equal to parse, and then we're gonna say netconf underscore operation dot XML. Okay. When I do that, it basically stores all that particular output. I'll just run the script. Oh, sorry, we didn't print that thing, right? So I'll also say print netconf underscore data. Once we have this, you can see that the output is actually an ordered dictionary. And when you look at an ordered dictionary, that ordered dictionary contains tags such as RPC reply. It contains tags such as, I would say, data, which is right over here, data. Then you have something called interfaces, which means if I even print out the data right over here, then your Python is able to convert the data into dictionary, but it is not ordered dictionary. I mean, it is not organized dictionary. So the data that we want to print out on the device is the name of the interface, like gigabit Ethernet 1, or the enabled state, or the IP address, for which we want to omit the extra data that we see on in our dictionary, which is this. So we need to follow the hierarchy from RPC reply to data, then to interfaces, and then to interface, and then we need to reach out on name. But as of now, when we convert our data into XML, convert our data into dictionary, you can see that this particular data starts at RPC reply. So we need to follow that particular thing and inherit the data that we actually want. So I'm going to say that while this particular parse feature converts the data into dictionary, just avoid the tags or go deeper into RPC reply. Then I'm going to go even deeper into data. Then I'm going to go even deeper into interfaces and even deeper into interface. Okay, when I mention these tags, I cannot directly go and say, RPC reply to interface. I cannot do that because I need to follow this RPC reply. Then the child of that RPC reply is data. Then child for data is interfaces, and then the child for interfaces is interface. So I'm following that particular path, and that's how we're gonna store the data inside of NetConf data. Now, if I run the script, let's see what's the output now. I'll just comment out this XML output. I'm just gonna say run Python file. And now if you look at the output there, this is the earlier output that you had, which was basically there. This is the earlier output that you had, which was basically starting from RPC reply and ending up over here. This is all the interfaces data, okay, but having all the extra information as well. And if you look at down over here, your actually second output starts directly from name. So you have name is gigabit Ethernet 1, and then you have type and all these things. And all this information again is in a list. You can see the square bracket. The square bracket means that all the interfaces are there. So the first interface dictionary is going to be available from here to here. Makes sense? That's interface number 1. Then that's where the second interface starts, and you have it till here. And then that's where the third interface starts, and you have it till I think here. And then that's where the fourth interface starts, and you have it till here. This is how 4 interfaces data is available. What if you want to only fetch out the first interface? Since all of these interfaces are in list, I can simply say print netconf data of 0. When I do that, what should be the output? The output is only going to be a dictionary that is available for first interface. You see that? Ordered dictionary, name gigabit and 1, type is whatever you have, and that's all the details. If I change that particular thing, and if I say that instead of netconf or instead of net of 0, I say 1, then that will be a dictionary for gigabit Ethernet 2. You see that? Now, inside of the dictionary, you have various elements. You have name, then you have type, then you have like enabled state, and you have IPv4 and so much other information like that. What if you only want to fetch out the name of the interface? So I can even go deeper and I can call the name of that, like the name. Okay, and I'll just change that to 0. So I'm gonna run this and I'm gonna see what's the output. Oops, sorry. I'll just delete this terminal output. And I'm just gonna say right click and then run. The output of that is going to be Gigabit Ethernet 1. That's how you fetch out the name of the interface. Make sense? If I go and change that particular thing to enabled, then it is going to give you the, oh, sorry. It is going to give you the enabled state of the interface, which is true. See that? What if I want to just get to know about the names of all the interfaces that are there? We have tried it, but again, to sync up with everyone, we can do something, or we can run a for loop against all the interfaces that are there. So I can simply say for interface in all, or in, you can say netconf underscore data. I can create a for loop and I can say print interface of name, something like this. When I execute this, let's see what's the output. There, you see that? The output is just Gigabit Ethernet 1, Gigabit Ethernet 2, 3, and 4. If I change that name tag to enable the tag, what is the output? The output is definitely going to be true, false, true, false. Because our Gigabit Ethernet 1 is up, 2 is down, 3 is up, and 4 is down. That's why you have the output as true, false, true, false. What if you want to print out the same, like the state of the interface and the name of the interface on the same line? You can simply create a string for printing out this, like this, that the interface's enabled state is whatever. Okay, and then you can just use dot format of Python, and in bracket I can simply call interface the first data, or I'm gonna say over here name, and I will also say the enabled. So I'm gonna say name is equal to interface of name, and I'm gonna say enabled is equal to interface of enabled. You get that? That's how you can work with it. So when I run this script, what should be the output? The output is going to be pretty interesting there. The Gigabit Ethernet 1's enabled state is true. The Gigabit Ethernet 2's enabled state is false. See that? That's how structured data can actually be taken from the device, and how it can be made useful by working it out with Python or XML or so. Questions? All right, try this particular script up as well. I'll just put a snapshot of that into our chat, and then I'll see how that can be worked out. I'll give you around 10-15 minutes for that. Those who are done with the installation of CSR, just set up your, I'm putting a snapshot of that in the chat. You can find that there. I will also paste the running configuration that you need to do on your CSR 1000V, the NetConf configuration, so that you can set up your machine and try this particular lab there in the chat. Okay, so you can go ahead, configure your CSR 1000V with the minimum configuration, and then use this Python script to see if you can fetch out the details from the device after you configure NetConf on the device. Try it out, see if you can work with that. Let me know when you're done. If you face any difficulty, I'll be here to solve that. Thank you.
Yeah, Abby,
Yes, Mohammad.
do I have to be on the Eve on the same network of my home?
There's no network association that needs to be done.
Because I didn't. I didn't put it as a bridge, and I cannot ping it from outside to the router itself. I can
Did
ping
you
only
get the
my.
IP address via DHCP?
It will not, because different network. My home different network than the Eve.
Can you share your screen again?
Yeah, because that's the way how I said it. That's okay.
If you
This
can just
one.
go to the settings of the VM.
Okay, this is my Eve and the VMware.
Yep, right click on the Eve and go to settings. Now I see.
I see
Yes.
it's yeah. I didn't.
Okay. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
yeah. I
You
didn't
need
put
to
it as a
turn off
bridge.
your Eve. No, that's fine. You just need another network adapter there. You need to add another network adapter. So for that, you will just need to turn off your Eve in order to bring that in effect. However, you can add that, yeah, and then set it as NAT.
As,
Perfect. That's fine, yeah. You
as
can
a
just
NAT.
save it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Say okay. Now I think you'll need to give a restart.
And which IP address is going to get from this one? It's my home net
Whatever is
IP.
configured on, you can see that in virtual network editor settings.
Okay. Do I have to restart the Eve?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Just give it a restart. Keep your screen shared. I'm here.
Okay. Restart my.
EVE-NG. Directly go to VMware Workstation. You don't need to restart your router. You need to restart the Eve entirely. So right click on EVE-NG VM, power it off, and turn it on again.
Yeah, it's the same network.
That's fine. What you need to do now is you just need to go to your GUI
One second.
and power on the router. Can you reload this page? I think you need to reload the page. Okay. Once the device comes up, then you can like request the IP address from DHCP and you should get an IP address configured. We will also confirm the subnet that you're supposed to get.
Okay.
Can you hit a couple of return buttons or enter buttons? I think the device is up. Yep. Go to enable config T.
Okay.
Enter one. Yeah. IP address DHCP.
Already in the SCP.
No shutdown. And you should get an IP address via DHCP now. There you go. Can you ping that IP address now? 192.168. What is that? 168 or 163?
163.
163.130. Can you ping that?
Yeah, I can ping it now. Okay.
Yeah, now we can work up with the script.
Yeah.
And
Now I can the virtual.
sure.
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, sure. I think we're pretty good. That's basically the motive.
Hi,
Of,
Abhijit.
yes, Varun.
Yeah, I'm facing some issues with the Python script. Can you just have a look? Can I share my screen with
share
you?
your screen.
Sure, just give me.
Yeah, I can see it now. What's the issue that you're facing? Have you downloaded NC client externally as a library?
I think so. No.
What's the error
So
that you face? Just try running the script.
look,
If the error is yeah, no module name NC client. So do one thing. Type something for me on the terminal that's already open there. Type Python space -m on the output directly. Yeah, Python space -m pip install NC client. -m for mango. There you go.
I got it.
Installed. Perfect. Now save your script and try to run it now. You were able to configure your CSR router, right? And ping it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Expected on line number 7. All right. Can you show me your XML? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There on line number 14. You're actually closing that interface. After interface, can you go on line number 14? Yeah. Wherever you're saying interface. On line number 14, you're using interface tag, right?
Yes.
That needs to be interfaces. You need to remove the closing angular bracket. You don't need to close it there. We are closing it at the end of the line. Yep.
I got it.
Save it and run it. All right. Now you have another issue that says invalid argument. And what is the invalid argument that you're passing?
I think somewhere here. This one should be name.
Let me check that. You're performing XE underscore netconf dot get underscore config filter is equal to netconf filters versus equal running. Then you say RPC reply data interfaces and then interface. Perfect. Then you have for interface in netconf underscore data print the names enabled state is whatever dot format name node map. What's that?
No, it should be name.
It just should be name. With a small n. It should be name is equal to, not hyphen, is equal to interface of name. Perfect. Enabled is equal to interface of enabled. Yep. Save it and try to run it. Yeah, that's the same error. I think the error is into the XML only. Can you show me the XML? Over there, yeah. Filter closing interfaces to namespace. Yeah, that's where the spelling is. The XML NS. It should be XML NS. You typed it XLMNS. After the interfaces on line number 14. Yeah.
Oh my god.
XML NS.
Yep, perfect. Save it and run it. There you go.
Okay, all good.
I think you were, oh, wait a minute. You were able to fetch out the XML. Now we are still not getting the reply there, right? Which you have received. Okay, Gigabit Ethernet 1 and everything. Okay, can you scroll down? Why are you getting XML output when you are not printing out the XML output? Okay, because of something that can you scroll up the error or the output a bit? Okay, now show me the XML. Stay there. Using filter. You are an ITF params XML namespace and ITF interface. That's where the issue is. The line number 15, you kind of need to indent that. Can you go to line number 15? Yeah, and press tab. Yeah, save it. Try to run it. Still the same thing.
Yep.
Oh. Interfaces, XML. Can you scroll down a bit? Scroll down. Remove everything after like the tags that you're passing there. Like, can you just comment out
Wait.
everything from line number 33 till last?
Should I remove it?
No, you can comment it out for now. Okay. Now just uncomment line number 31. Remove the comment from line number 31. Just remove the hash at the beginning. There. Save it and try to run it. You need to also import the xml.dom.minidom for that. Scroll all the way up.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, you have it imported. Do you have the output? Parse string is not defined. Say from xml.dom.minidom import named node map, parse and parse string. Then why parse string is not defined there? Can you scroll down a bit? Let me see where you're using parse string. Yeah, the spelling of parse is wrong there. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Scroll down. On the last line, you're using par. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Save it and run. Yes, Rashika, you want to say something? You raise your hand.
Yeah, I just want to ask that could that be due to the XML to dictionary is not imported?
Okay, because XML to dict is not being imported. Okay, all right, I'll check that as well. Thanks for that. Now, can you paste the previous thing? I forgot to check that. Yeah, so till here, the device info is actually being fetched out. Did you also install XML to dict, which was another third-party library? You just need to go on terminal.
Yeah.
And say Python space -m pip install XML to dict.
Fine. What was the command?
Python space -m.
Yep.
Pip install XML to dict.
Pip install XML
to dict. XML to dict.
How is
DICT. Enter. Yeah, that's purely the reason I would say. I thought XML to dict is important.
all good?
But okay, because you have imported parse from xml.dom.minidom, that's why that was not giving you an error, but it was not finding the file. Yeah, I get it now. Okay, so go on the top and
Yep.
also say from XML to dict import parse and remove the parse from xml.dom.minidom. We're importing parse on line number 2, right?
Yes.
Remove that parse. Yep.
Yep.
Remove that. Also give it a backspace. You have a double comma there. You just need to have a single one. Perfect. Now create a new line and say from XML to dict. To dict. Import parse. Import parse. And now paste the lines that you deleted from the bottom. You completely deleted them, or you did it? Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Now save it and try to run the script. Oh damn. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Cool.
Okay.
All right then. I think we're good over here. Anyone else have any question? Thanks, Rashika, for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right then. I think we're good. That's all that we had to explore in this particular class. We'll take it at a deeper level by like getting familiar and comfortable with NETCONF and RESTCONF, and let's see. Make sure that you have your devices ready by next week, and we'll see how that works out. I'll see you next weekend there.
Okay,
And,
Abhijit, just one last question. Can you share the link of the recording of this whole session?
It is already there in the Teachable. It's automatically uploaded onto our portal, which is teachable.pynetlabs.com.
Fine.
So if you still face any difficulty accessing the recording, get in touch with the operations team, maybe Nitish or Dipanshu. They might help you with that. Cool.
Fine, I'll do that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Sync up with the things, and then we shall continue next weekend. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good week. Good week.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.